welcome to today's episode of Morning Coffee with Emerica. In all my years of real estate, one of the topics that I always find myself fumbling over is title insurance. So today I have one of the experts in the industry here to explain a little bit to us title insurance all over, right?
Oh yes, top to bottom.
Top to bottom.
More than you ever wanted to know about title insurance.
Good. Right? Start from the top with us, Kelly.
Okay, sure. So, title insurance, what we usually say, title insurance protects the policyholder's interest in a piece of real property, so real estate, against third parties who might have an interest in that property. So what do we mean there? I usually tell a story that's kind of a cartoon example, and then we talk about what the real world examples are. So I'll start with that. So let's say there's an elderly lady. She's got two grown children, a boy and a girl. Girl's taking care of mama. Unfortunately, mama dies. At that point, they haven't talked to the brother in 15 years. The property goes 50-50 to the two kids, right? And the mom's estate. And the daughter is handling the mother's estate. She waits another 10 years, hasn't seen her brother in 25 years. She goes ahead and sells the property to Emerica, right? She moves on. Well, it turns out the boy is alive, right? And he finds out mama died and I got half her property in her estate and I was never paid, right? He can rightfully come to Emerica as the current owner of the property and say, hey, pay me or get out, right? I own half this property. Yeah. So that's the type of third-party interest that we're talking about. Now, in that case, why would he go to, people ask this a lot, why would he go to Emerica as opposed to going to the sister? The sister may have spent the money. The property never goes anywhere. And almost everybody has title insurance, so it's an easier target. But that's the type of third-party interest that we're talking about. So title insurance would protect, and we'll talk in a minute about the two types.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to ask you the different types of title insurance, because I know I've heard them say, okay, the seller's insurance, the buyer's insurance. Go into details between the two and how we differentiate them.
Sure. So there's two different types of policies. There are lender's title insurance policies and owner's title insurance policy.
Okay.
The lender's title insurance policy protects the lender's interest in the property in the event that they have to foreclose, right? So they want to know if they have to foreclose. Unfortunately, you might get foreclosed on here, Emerica. All right, here we go. If they foreclose on Emerica and they take the property back, they want to know that they have good title. Because if let's say they took Emerica's property back in our story we just told, and now the boy comes out of the woodwork, well, the bank doesn't actually have full title to that property, right? So the bank makes you buy them a title insurance policy in order to give you the loan.
So that's standard for every loan that closes.
For every loan.
Okay, good. So they're protecting themselves.
Yes, it's so important that the bank's not going to mess around and give you a loan without it. So the other type is an owner's title insurance policy that protects Emerica's personal interest in the property that we just talked about, right? Now, when we title insurance, number one, is a one-time thing that Emerica would pay at settlement. It's based on the purchase price, and then she's covered up to the full purchase price the entire time she owns the property, and depending on the policy, she gets maybe forever. Because there could be some circumstances after you sell a property where that boy tries to sue back up the chain of people, and you would still be covered depending on the policy you purchase.
Okay, that's an interesting distinction between the two policies. So, how is the cost? What's the cost normally? As you said, as per the value of the property.
Yeah. So the owner's policy is going to be based on the sale price of the property. The lender's policy is going to be based on the loan amount. The prices or the rates for insurance in Virginia and Maryland are set by the Bureau of Insurance in each state. So pretty much no matter which title insurer you go to, they're going to charge basically the exact same rates. So that's kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing. No matter who you go with, it's going to be the same cost. But it's all just according to a chart. So I think, let's say we have a property in Virginia. This is a ballpark guess, but it's $400,000 sale price. Owner's policy probably going to be somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000.
Okay, okay. So you're saying even if you do buy the lender's policy, which you're supposed to get, the buyer is not covered in any way on the
Correct.
policy,
So
right?
the lender's policy, I get this question a lot. The lender's policy does not cover the buyer at all. It only covers the lender, who is the policyholder, and only in the event that they have to foreclose and there's an issue with the title. One thing I didn't mention earlier, the lender's policy is required to get the loan. The owner's policy is optional. Now, I would say it's not optional, right? I think you'd be crazy not to buy the insurance, considering what it costs versus the amount of money that you're investing in the property. But that's I would say less than 1% of people don't buy it. But it's important to understand what it is and why it's important.
It's surprising that most people never see or learn about the title insurance till they're at the closing table most of the time.
Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off. When we open a file, if we're doing the processing, the first email the buyers get is going to have 3 links to 3 YouTube videos of me explaining title insurance, title vesting tendency, and I'm trying to think what the other one. Surveys.
Okay, so they do get that.
They do get that right at the beginning.
Okay.
They also get a printout, like you could read it if you wanted to. But then most people watch those videos because it's easier.
Okay. Well, I know 90% of my clients come through Universal Title, so when they send those videos out, make sure you watch them, because I've had people ask me at the table, what's title insurance, or why am I paying for that?
Yeah, and it's also understandable. The buyer has a lot to think about during the process.
Yes,
but
yeah.
Between us two, we'll make sure
we'll be able to get that. I know there's a title search that happens during before closing. Can you walk us through that and what that involves?
So that kind of gets us from our cartoon story with the old lady with the 2 grown kids. That gets us to the real world. So when we get your file in, we're going to order a title search on the property, and that search is going to go into the land records and get all the deeds going back 60 years or to the original developer who developed the subdivision. They're also going to look for any other issues that might possibly affect the title, like current or prior owner judgment liens, current or prior owner mortgage liens that aren't released. That's really our top 2 issues that we run into the most. But any kind of issues that might possibly affect the title of the property, they compile that into a report, and then they send that to us. Usually that's done within the first 5 days we have the contract open.
Okay.
Then once we get that, one of our attorneys will sit down and go through it, line by line. That's called the title examination.
Okay.
And that's where we make sure that we've connected all those dots as much as we can. Like we know, boy and girl got the property, boy and girl signed the deed, right? Or boy didn't sign, this is a problem, let's fix it, right? Okay. So we go through in that title examination. Any issues that we do uncover, of course, then we would work with the seller to get that fixed prior to settlement. Almost everything can be fixed. But it just sometimes takes time.
Yeah, that was my next question. Like, if there's a problem, or has there been any major issues, and how is it resolved before settlement?
Yeah, so the most common issues we see, like I said, are current or prior owner judgments. So if you have somebody, if I own a piece of property and I get a judgment against me, like let's say I don't pay a credit card off, they go to the bank. The bank goes to the court and gets a judgment against me because I haven't paid them. Once that judgment is rendered, that becomes a lien against any property that I own.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if the issue is if the seller or anybody back in the chain of title has a really common name,
yes,
it's going to show up a bunch. We have to rule those out somehow.
It actually just happened with one of my clients. They have the same name and it's completely 2 different people.
So usually, if the so that's one thing. Let's talk about unreleased mortgages. The mortgage, when you take out a mortgage, the bank goes into the land records and records a mortgage lien against the property, right? When the seller goes to sell the property and we pay it off as part of settlement, the bank is supposed to go after that and say, file another document that says this lien is released, right? Once it's been paid off. Well, they don't always do that. That's actually very common. So, for instance, if Emerica is buying the property and we're paying off the seller's mortgage and she's taking out a mortgage, if the seller's mortgage is not released once it's paid off, when she goes to sell, it'll look like she has 2 mortgages, right? Hers and the prior owner's. So we have to deal with that somehow.
Oh, Okay.
One of the things that I talk about a lot, and this is what we really use title insurance for the most in a practical way. Nationally, there are 5 big title insurers.
Okay.
And in Virginia and Maryland, they've all, bear with me, we're going to get into the weeds. In Virginia and Maryland, they've all agreed to mutually indemnify each other if they're on opposite sides of title claim.
Okay.
What that means for us in the real world is if your seller has a title insurance policy and we have one of those prior owner judgments or prior owner unreleased deed of trust that comes up, if they have a policy with one of those 5 companies, there's like a 95+% chance they do.
Okay.
If the buyer's buying title insurance from one of those 5 companies, 95+% chance they are. If the seller has title insurance, we can usually just go to settlement and solve the problem later.
Okay.
Right.
Oh,
And we use title insurance for that all the time. So in the case of like an unreleased bank mortgage lien, it can take 6 months, maybe a year to get that release from the bank. And if we didn't have a way to clear it with like the title insurance, we would have to wait and postpone settlement. So title insurance is very handy that way.
Does it also cover like construction liens if someone does work in your home and then you don't pay?
Yeah, exactly. So you will get mechanics lien coverage if you buy the policy that everybody buys is called the enhanced policy, and that's what we default into. I would say 99% of people buy the enhanced policy.
And what does that cover?
It covers a ton of different things. The enhanced policy has mechanics lien coverage. So mechanics lien is a lien filed against the property by somebody who's done work on the property or provided materials. So let's say if you bought a flip, and if the contractor didn't pay all the people who worked on the property and provided materials, you can close and then they can come and file a lien on your property, right? And again, the contractor may have already spent all the money, but the property can't go anywhere.
That's true.
The enhanced policy covers you against that. Another thing that the enhanced policy does is it will increase the value of coverage 5% a year for the first 5 years. Kind of keep track of it. Most people only keep a house in America an average of 7 years. So that kind of keeps track. If something, God forbid, did happen, you'd still be more or less fully insured.
Okay.
There was one other item I was going to say. The enhanced policy covers you against title fraud, title theft. And that actually is one of the biggest issues, real world issues.
What did you say?
It covers you against title fraud and title theft.
Okay.
So that's one of the biggest problems that we have in the industry now is fraudulent sellers. So somebody will go and pretend to be the owner of the property.
Yeah, I saw that in the news yesterday.
In the last couple of years, as a company, we've busted over 40 fraudulent sellers.
Wow.
I mean, it's really common.
So people actually try to sell property that's not theirs.
Yeah. Oh, all the time. They'll call you up at Emerica and say, hey, I have some property there. I live in Illinois. I'm not going to be able to come to settlement, but I need you to list it and sell it. And you never meet the person. We have all sorts of ways of figuring out if it's fraud at this point because it's so prevalent. But the title insurance would cover it.
Would cover all of that. That's good. Any advice you have out there for our viewers so they understand the process and understand why they need to get title insurance?
One of the things I didn't quite address, and this is the most common question I get when I tell somebody, we did a title search, we did a title examination, we went back through, we didn't see any issues. Why do I need title insurance?
Okay.
Well, what you're really buying title insurance against is people lie, people commit fraud, people don't record things they're supposed to, and we can't search everywhere, we can't know everything, right? We try to eliminate the risk as much as possible, but those things do happen. I'll give you an example. I had some people who bought a house with us back in November, and they did not buy title insurance, and last week they sent us a notice. I guess the flipper did a bunch of work on the property, right, and didn't pull permits, and the neighbors told the county about this addition that got built on the house with no permits, and the county went after the current owners, right, and they're going to put a lien on the property, and they called me and were like, is there anything we could do about this? And I said, unfortunately, you said she didn't buy title insurance. No. So again, that's the type of thing. Nobody knew that was an issue when we closed, but then it was there and it came up later.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. Is there anything else you think they need to know?
No. If you guys have any questions, you can always give either one of us a call. We're always happy to help you. But yeah, hopefully that was informative and helpful.
Yeah, I hope this was informative enough for you all. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Kelly Satterwhite of Universal Title. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.